Alright everybody, what's up? Today I'm here with my boy Glix, one of my girlfriends. Today we're going to be discussing both weapons, their skills, what is obtainable, what isn't, the damage, the animations, and of course, enchants themselves. So, let's get right into it. Let's start with the skill tree. First off, we have the physical stats. This skill tree is mainly for unlocking your stats and for the ability to use different weapons or maneuvering the map. Starting off with strength training. This will allow you to increase your weight carrying, allowing you to carry more items in your inventory without slowing you down. Then you also have the very essential abilities such as mercenary carry, allowing you to run and dash while carrying another person. We'll have heavy weapons, which will let you use Greatsword, and heavy armor, which will in the future allow you to wear armor that will increase your HP. Next up, we have the fortitude training, which is all pretty common sense. It's just increasing your max health up to 150. And then finally, we have the agility training, which will allow you to get water walk, give you dash mastery, allowing you to dash, which is one of the most important skills, and allowing you to get climbing and quick step and feather fall. Feather falling isn't added yet, but will be very soon. But quick step is a nice mobility move that lets you chase or run away from people. Next skill tree, we have concentration, where we have a little like mana bar thing where we can charge mana, which will be probably used for spells in the future, but currently we cannot progress the skill tree as the quests have not been added, or the focus breathing quest has not been added. And now let's get into the actual weapons. So starting off, we need to lead the guild, as guilds give guild members a 50% damage reduction if you were to hit each other, which is very useful in ganks, but quite a hindrance when you are trying to showcase damage of moves and effective enchants, of course. And the final thing about guilds is currently you cannot create a guild unless you gain a merit, which can only be given by developers. Moving on to fists. The first weapon, or the base thing you start out with, will be fists. It is the basic fighting style in the game, which has a total of 5 hits. Quite a simple animation. The drawbacks to it are that it is very short-ranged and doesn't do that much damage and doesn't do a lot of block bar or posture damage, but on the other hand, it is very fast compared to a couple of the other weapons. And of course, the best thing about fists currently is its M2 being the very fastest M2 in the game. Moving on, we have Dagger. So the Dagger skill tree currently has no skills, and it is one of the worst weapons currently due to it not being balanced enough, but will soon be fixed, whereas we have a very slow M1 combo. For hitting slow M1 combo with, but it has a very fast M2, which is pretty nice. And then moving on in the skill tree, currently you can unlock Rapiers. Rapier training allows you to use Rapiers, which can only be obtained through currently developers or someone dropping it if you were to be hardcore and killing a player with a Rapier. And it is a evolved version of a Dagger, which is one of its paths, making it much faster, more range, and also a better M2. This is the animation for the M1s. Very fast and hard to block, and then the M2 is very quick and hard to see if you were to mix it with your M1s. Hard to tell. Currently, Rapier or Dagger do not have any skills. Moving on, we have the Katana. This is a weapon you can obtain quite early on with a cheap amount of sky shards. It has quite a few skills in the skill tree. The first skill you will obtain will be Razor's Edge. This is what it looks like. It is a little dash forwards that stuns and hits opponents, and this is what it does when you hit a player. Decent amount of damage allows you to mix up and also get into your opponent's face, allowing Katana to apply a lot of pressure. The next skill that you can unlock is Scale Strike. It has 2 modes or 2 parts. This is the animation. It's a nice quick stab. If you were to hit a player, you gain a stack of Gathering Storms. it gives you this nice blue particle around you, and while this is active, if you were to use Gale Strike again, it does a nice whirlwind that ragdolls and goes through block. And does a good amount of damage. And then the final skill that you can currently unlock in the Katana skill tree is Dragon Flash. This is what it looks like. There's a decent amount of wind up, making it quite difficult to use, but it's pretty good in group fights and also for combos. But it has to be used pretty carefully as it does have a long cooldown and a pretty long wind up and doesn't really do that much damage. This is how much damage it should do. I think this range should be fine. There we go. That is all for Katana. The next weapon, we have Sword. Okay, let me see. Sword, there we go. So Sword has a interesting mechanic where it has a 4-hitting combo, but each swing will continuously increase its speed. Starting off a bit slower, but if you were to have better Wi-Fi than me, of course it would end up being a bit faster on the final swings than on the first swing. And then it has an M2 that is quite bad, pretty damn slow. And for its skills, the first skill you unlock is Cross Slash. It is a combo extender. It is very fast, and if you land the first Cross Slash, the second one is unblockable. This is the damage for it. And then moving on, the other skill you can obtain is the only block breaking skill in the game called Vertical Slash. It's a very fast paced attack which allows you to either knock back players or block break them. Starting off with a block break, allowing you to combo enemies very easily. And then the damage for the ability is as shown. And then after you progress into your skill tree a bit more, you can unlock Dual Swords, which has not been defined as a separate class yet, but we'll find that out in the future. Currently has a special niche thing where it has only 3 M1s before it knocks enemies back. But would you mind blocking for me? Each hit counts as 2 hits, allowing you to do more damage, stun opponents more, and have a double the chance to proc your enchant on each M1 due to it being 2 hits. And in PvP, most players will quickly block and let go, allowing your second hit to sometimes go through before they can hit you with a counter attack. And of course, Dual Swords is currently unobtainable, the same way as Rapier. Only developers can hand you both a Rapier and Dual Swords, whether it's basic or enchanted. Moving on, we have the Greatsword, which can be only used after you unlock heavy training in your physical skill tree. These are the M1s for it. It has 3 M1s that move you forwards with quite long range, but pretty damn slow. The cool effect about Greatsword is, could you bliss block for me? That it does a lot of posture damage. After doing 3 hits, the 4th hit will always block break unless they lower their posture damage by hitting you. The M2 for it is approximately same speed as an M1, and of course it block breaks and is very valuable for playing Kite, which is jumping around, running around, and just hitting an opponent once to back off. And the only skill in the skill tree for Greatsword currently, which cannot be shown, is Judgment. It is a quick whirlwind attack, which has quite a wind-up, but during the attack you have invincibility frames, and at the end of it, for around 1 second or so, you have continuous invincibility frames. This is the damage for it. There we go. Moving on, we have Spear. Spear is one of the best weapons currently in the game for an obtainable weapon. It has 4 hits that are very fast with very long range and really good damage. Its M2 is also very long range and very fast, one of the faster ones. And its skills currently has 2 skills with, in the skill tree, it shows 3 skills. We have Echoing Strike, Serpent Strike, and Sweep. Currently, Serpent Strike is a skill that has not been added yet, so In reality, you can only use 2 skills. First one being Echoing Strike, which is a quick 2 stabs, where the second stab knocks enemies away. And the damage for the ability is as follows. There we go. And the other ability that you can lock, which is Sweep, is a quick, small, ranged attack that covers a decent AoE on the first hit, but the second hit is just a small straight line, which does a decent amount of damage and has a very low cooldown. There we go, allowing you to combo people with ragdoll combos, making it a very strong ability. And finally, we have the Enchants. Currently, there are 7 enchants in the game. We have the Igneous enchant, the Fire enchant, which on procs are the effects applied to the opponent. On M1s, you have a small chance to proc. The exact percentage has not been given, but M2s are always guaranteed to proc the enchant, except, could you block for me? If you were to block and you block break someone, then the enchant will not be applied to them. And one more quick tip, abilities do not apply enchant effects. They do not proc on the opponents. So, starting off with Ignis enchant. It is an enchant that will apply a burn effect on the opponents, which will last until they roll, which can be obtained in the skill tree, in the physical skill tree, under the agility training. It's called Dash Mastery. Without it, the burn lasts a couple seconds, which we'll showcase real quick, making it very deadly on new players that have yet to unlock Dash Mastery. And of course, if you were to combo someone during it, as you can imagine, the damage over time will stack up and do an absurd amount of damage, making it currently one of the best enchants. Another enchant that currently has an effect is, let's see, the Ruined enchant. This enchant has a very unique mechanic, which is radiation. It is the exact same thing as Down in the Void, if you were to fall, where over time, you apply different stages of radiation, where the opponent slowly starts to turn insane, gets distortion effects, gets different weird sound effects, visual effects, and at some point will also, when it reaches down to 0, will start taking damage. Which I'm probably not going to showcase since there's a high chance he's going to die, since, of course, if you keep constant pressure on the opponent, they cannot have a brief moment to recharge their sanity. And then the final enchant that actually has an effect currently, oh wait, that's the wrong one, my fault, is the Tempest enchant, the Lightning enchant. This enchant adds on stun, so each time it procs, the enemy gets stunned for 2 times longer, making it a very good combo enchant, especially for people that are trying to play in different areas, different zones, different servers that are not of their home country, and are playing against people that have much better Wi-Fi. Having something that stuns opponents for longer allows you to combo much better and not punish you as hard. For example, a very strong combo with dual swords that is a 100 to 0 practically is 2 hits, cross slash, 1 hit, vertical slash. If they block, you walk behind them and M2. If they don't block, you just M2 and hope that you hit them whenever they stand up from the ragdoll. Currently, that is an inescapable combo if your Tempest enchant procs on the first hit, because after the cross slash ends, you are free to take either an M1 or an M2 without them being able to react due to the stun. And for the enchants that currently do not work, I only have one to showcase, which is the Glacial enchant. It is an ice enchant that has an interesting effect of snow particles, which in my assumption will probably slow opponents on proc, which will make it a pretty decent enchant, but I don't think it's going to be very meta except for certain builds. And the other remaining enchants are Vampirism, a bleeding enchant, which will most likely heal you while also bleeding the opponents, but of course we don't know, this is all speculation. There is the Fluorescent enchant, which will most likely poison opponents. And the final enchant will be the Hex enchant, which we have absolutely no clue currently as to what it can do. So I guess that will be all for the current enchants, the weapons, the skills, and all the effects and damage. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I guess I'll see you next time.